Hello, my name is James Reavis. I am a public defender and a small business owner. I've lived in Montana my whole life, and I am running for the Montana House of Representatives. It's House District 50, and it's basically Central Billings. It's a compact district in Central Billings. Great district, I have to say. I've walked it for miles, and I've really gotten to like everybody that's there. The reason that I am running for office is because I am really concerned about the state of the Montana Constitution and the direction our legislature is going, and I would like to lend my voice and my expertise to getting Montana back on the right track.
Perfect.
Housing is the number one thing that I'm hearing about when I'm talking to people at the doors. It's both the property taxes and the price of housing. It's the number one issue. And there are a lot of things that we can do. Thankfully, we have a budget surplus this year. We need to devote a large chunk of that surplus to building workforce housing that is available for everyday people. We also need to take a serious look at zoning reform, right? We have some of the least dense housing in the country. There are reasonable things that we can do to make sure, and what I mean by denser homes is, maybe you can have a duplex, maybe you can have a triplex, right? Maybe you can do something like an accessory dwelling unit. Things that we can do so you can build more properties. When you build more properties, that's going to ease the market pressure on houses and on rents. And we got to be open to a lot of different creative solutions. This is this is a multifaceted problem. There's things, accessory dwelling units I mentioned, community land trusts where maybe you lease the land, you own the house, so you can build value on the house, but it's not subject to hedge funds buying up the properties and speculators. So it's a very complicated solution, but I'm really looking forward to tackling it.
Perfect.
The transgender discrimination bills were particularly outrageous in the last session. They were warned that they were unconstitutional. They've been blocked as they were unconstitutional. My philosophy is always treat people like people. And what I will be is I will be a vote against those bills that will likely come up in the future. And the obsession over youth sports is an obsession I don't understand. And just those culture war issues, I'm not going to support that. What I'm going to support are policies that actually help improve the economic lives of all Montanans, including transgender LGBT Montanans. Yeah, I think one of the most exciting things we can do at the state level is a system basically called net metering. The idea with net metering is that you take, if you install a solar panel on the roof of your house, we make it as easy as possible, as few administrative burdens as possible, plug that into the grid, and then you get a corresponding credit on your electric bill. And I think a wonderful future that I would like to see is, I have a hybrid, I drive the hybrid home, I plug the hybrid in and it's getting energy from the sun, right? That is like a world that I want to see in the future. I think we also, we are getting a lot of federal funds from the infrastructure bill and the Inflation Reduction Act. And I want to use those federal funds. I'm not going to be a state legislator that is going to block federal money coming our way to improve our energy future. But in this process, as we're transitioning to a cleaner energy future, we cannot forget the coal workers and the workers that we have here in Colstrip and in the Billings area. They've earned their wages, and they deserve to be cared for and trained. A lot of the skills that coal workers and coal plants have are transferable to things like nuclear energy, right? So there's a lot of things that we can do to make sure that they get taken care of as we transition to a newer, cleaner energy future.
Awesome.
Lots of ideas on what we can do on this issue. Let's put them into two buckets, our kind of short-term immediate needs and our long-term objectives. Under short-term, let's make sure we're not squeezing our funding to our local governments. It's our local city and county governments that are paying for our police and our firefighters. So we want to make sure that they have the revenue that they need. I also want to address probation officers, making sure that they have a healthy caseload, right? Because if they can spend more individualized time with probationers, that's going to reduce recidivism and make sure people are on a path to success. Now, long term, there's a lot of things we can do. One of the things that's so great about, I'm running under the Democratic Party, and one of the things that's so great is that by pushing for some of our big goals, which is making sure everybody has a better economic life and an affordable place to live, that's going to address our public safety needs. Because if we can reduce homelessness by making homes more affordable, we provide people with good paying jobs and a good quality of life, that is going to be a disincentive. You know, one of the things, I've represented a lot of people who have drug addictions, and with a drug addiction, it's a cheap high that kind of puts your problems off to the side. So by having a stronger, better economy, we can reduce these problems in the first place. I also want to make a big push on mental health reform. I've represented, this is gonna go on a little bit longer,
okay.
But I want to make a big push on mental health reform. So I've represented patients who have been committed to the Montana State Hospital for the last decade. We have a crisis right now. We lost federal funding for federal approval for Montana State Hospital. And I want that crisis to be an opportunity. So what I want to do is I want to work on efforts to build community mental health centers, community hospitals across the state, so you can get the mental health treatment that you need in the local community, and you're plugged into the local resources. So we can make sure that you have long-term support going forward, and then we have a refurbished Montana State Hospital for the most serious cases and the criminal cases.
Perfect.
I think men have talked plenty about how they want to regulate women's bodies. So I think I'm gonna probably defer to women to maybe have a little more of a role of a voice on what they do with that. What I can tell you, I'll tell you two things. I will be a solid vote against amending the Montana Constitution to remove the privacy right. I support access to a safe legal abortion, and my votes will reflect protecting that right. And we live in a democracy. Democracy is about choices. There's nothing more important than your choice of when to start a family and how many kids to have. And yeah. Video game designer. I mean, it has to be the Star Spangled Banner. It's got the history. It's got Francis Scott Key. It's got the War of 1812. It's already the best. Ooh, I really like Jake's. The steak is excellent, and everything I've had at Jake's has been great. So yeah, that's definitely comes to mind. I would go to the Azores. It just seems like a fun tropical island in the middle of the Atlantic, and it would be a fun new experience. So I'd go there.
I love it.